The Maya Coronation Code, Night Sun Rising, and the Journey through Xibalba. At Chichen Itza, the monuments form more than an impressive archaeological landscape. They reveal a carefully arranged psychocosmic system of thresholds, architectural, celestial, and psychological, designed to map the movement between different states of existence. At the center of this system stands the Great Pyramid, known as El Castillo. Inside El Castillo, a smaller temple lies beneath the massive 12th century pyramid. Excavations in the 1930s revealed that the 79-foot outer pyramid was constructed atop an earlier structure, estimated to have been built up to 300 years earlier, some say even 1,000. This inner temple, located directly beneath the main exterior pyramid known as El Templo de Kukulkan, is referred to as the substructure. Within this shrine stood significant ritual objects, most notably a reclining chalk mule with its head turned 90 degrees and a container on its belly, bearer of offerings to the gods, and a life-sized red jaguar throne. After the outer pyramid was completed, this inner sanctuary became permanently entombed, suggesting a sacred burial of the temple itself. The substructure contained chambers designed for ceremonial use. The Hall of Chambers housed the chalk mule statue, serving as a focal point for ritual offerings. Beyond it lay the inner shrine, where the red jaguar throne stood, symbolizing authority and the ruler's passage between earthly and spiritual realms. Adjacent to the shrine, the Chamber of Sacrifices, a small and restricted space where human bones were discovered. These areas were not open to the public and were likely reserved for high priests, rulers, and ritual specialists. Used during major ceremonial events such as solar rituals on equinoxes and solstices, sacrificial rites, and royal ceremonies. One of the most famous phenomena at El Castillo is the Serpent of Light and Shadow, often called the Descent of the Serpent, representing the feathered serpent deity Kukulkan, the Maya counterpart of the Aztec god Quetzalcoatl. The effect occurs during the spring and autumn equinoxes, March 21st and September 21st, when sunlight strikes the pyramid's 9-stepped terraces at a precise angle, casting triangular shadows that connect the top of the staircase to the carved serpent heads at its base. The event can be observed for several days before and after the equinox itself. Although produced by the sun, the phenomenon has often been interpreted simply as a solar return or seasonal renewal. Yet the symbolism embedded in the pyramid suggests a deeper meaning, a visual enactment of consciousness moving between the two perceptual modes of experience, body-based sensorial reality and mind-based imaginal reality. The pyramid itself encodes symbolism of the underworld. Its 9-stepped terraces correspond to the 9 levels of the Maya underworld known as Xibalba, meaning place of fright. The serpent shadow reflects descent through Xibalba, echoing the journey of the hero twins described in the Popol Vuh, who enter Xibalba and return transformed. The celestial actors playing this twin role are the Sun and Venus. The twin myth serves as a dramatization of the real journey and relationship between them. One disappears into the underworld while the other emerges at the horizon. The sun disappears as it enters into Xibalba, becomes the night sun, then reappears at the horizon as Venus, aka the morning star, aka Kukulkan, the one who embodies the meeting of heaven and earth. Xibalba was believed to be entered through caves or bodies of still water, thresholds that mark the surface of the earth, and the first of the 9 underworld levels. Within its depths lay a court ruled by 12 lords who entertained themselves by humiliating those who entered before testing them. The mythic landscape of Xibalba included 6 deadly houses, each containing its own ordeal. The first house was the House of Darkness, representing the void of unconsciousness which is both contentless and witnessless. Only after passing through this void would further experiences arise. The second house was the House of Cold Wind, and the 6th house was the House of Heat. These extremes appear only after the center has been reached. Void, then vision, then speech. Within this framework, the equinox serpent acquires deeper meaning. The descent and return suggested by the shadow on El Castillo does not appear to represent the sun alone, but the paired cycle of the sun and Venus. This interpretation is reinforced both in the Maya mythology and in the iconography of Chichen Itza itself. In the Popol Vuh, the story of the hero twins describes 2 celestial figures, Hunahpu and Xbalanque, who descend together into Xibalba, where they face trials set by the lords of death. After passing through these ordeals, they defeat the lords and rise again. transformed back into celestial bodies. Their journey reflects the rhythm of death and rebirth that governs both the cosmos and human consciousness. In spring, the descending serpent shadow on El Castillo represents the return of the night sun and his twin Venus from the depths of the underworld. After traveling through the underworld during the night and cold season, the sun re-emerges to illuminate the world, while Venus appears again as the morning star, announcing the renewal of the celestial cycle. In autumn, the same descending shadow signals the opposite movement, a further descent of the sun and Venus into Xibalba. As the year turns toward darkness, both luminaries move toward the western horizon and disappear from the sky, symbolically entering the underworld. The serpent of light and shadow reflects a cosmic rhythm, the descent of the sun and Venus into the underworld and their eventual return, a repeating cycle of disappearance and reemergence. While the sun creates the visible phenomenon, the event portrays a twin celestial journey, not a single one. The feathered serpent deity Quetzalcoatl was closely associated with Venus as the morning star, while his twin Xolotl represented Venus as the evening star. Together, they encode the full cycle of the luminary, which was one of the most carefully tracked celestial bodies in Mesoamerican astrology. The jaguar appears within El Castillo itself, and again on the nearby platform of Venus, where it is shown with feathered serpent attributes linked directly to Venus. The pairing of these symbols suggests a relationship between the jaguar of the underworld and the cycle of Venus, the feathered serpent jaguar king. North of El Castillo stands the platform of Venus, a ceremonial structure dedicated to Venus and its connection to Kukulkan. Its bas-reliefs reveal a striking image depicting the morning star as a jaguar wearing the attributes of the feathered serpent Kukulkan, including feathers and its tongue split like a serpent's. From the jaguar's mouth, a human face emerges. This scene encodes a moment of transformation. In Mesoamerican cosmology, the jaguar commonly symbolizes the night sun. The Maya believe when the sun sets, it does not disappear, it transforms. It becomes a divine predator, not to destroy, but to protect the world through the darkness. In Maya mythology, the jaguar god, Balaam, is the night sun, the force that carries light through Xibalba so that dawn can return. The king embodies this same principle. When seated upon the red jaguar throne, he symbolically occupies the position of the night sun. The color red reflects the solar power in its setting and underworld phase. By sitting on the red jaguar, the ruler aligns himself with this cycle of descent and return, participating in its transformation and becoming the human expression of the night sun rising at dawn. The jaguar is associated with night and the hidden realms beneath the earth. As a nocturnal creature that sees in darkness, it symbolizes the capacity to remain conscious within that hidden domain. In modern terms, this resembles lucid dreaming, awareness operating within the dreamscape itself. The human figure emerging from the jaguar's mouth, therefore, represents awakening from the subconscious into waking reality. Yet the transformation is not merely a return to ordinary consciousness. The initiate emerges with the ability to move between states. In one direction, this appears as lucid dreaming, where consciousness remains present within the subconscious. In the other direction, it appears as lucid waking, where dream imagery and intuition begin to surface within waking awareness. Like Venus, appearing between night and day, the feathered serpent occupies a liminal space. The descent of light into darkness symbolizes consciousness moving between states rather than merely tracking the motion of the sun. This dual movement is reflected in the equinox phenomenon at El Castillo. During the spring equinox, the descending serpent of light symbolizes consciousness emerging from the depths of the mind and re-entering the waking world, an awakening into embodied awareness. During the autumn equinox, the reverse happens. Consciousness withdraws from the outer world and descends into the inner realm of the mind. Symbolically, the spring event reflects the emergence of lucid waking, while the autumn descent reflects entry into lucid dreaming. In ordinary experience, these transitions occur unconsciously in the states known as hypnopompia and hypnagogia. Hypnopompic imagery appears as the mind awakens from sleep, while hypnagogic imagery arises as consciousness descends into dreaming. In both cases, vivid visions or hallucinations may appear at the boundary between waking and dreaming. What occurs spontaneously in these threshold states is represented symbolically at Chichen Itza as something that can be consciously navigated. For this reason, the jaguar is shown taking on the attributes of the feathered serpent. Quetzalcoatl unites sky and earth within a single being. The name comes from the Nahuatl word for the Quetzal bird, representing the sky, and Coatl meaning serpent, representing the earth and underworld. Together, they represent a bridge between earth and sky, where celestial bodies rise and set. Symbolically, this corresponds to the union of mind and body, or waking and dreaming states. The initiate who embodies this union develops metastate awareness, the capacity to observe, navigate, and combine multiple states of awareness without becoming fixed in any single one. The platform likely served as a ceremonial stage for rituals aligned with Venus's heliacal rising. Beneath the eastern staircase, archaeologists discovered a decapitated human skull and a chalk mole statue, suggesting offerings intended to ensure Venus's return. The platform stands at the beginning of the sock bay leading to the sacred cenote, which was said to be a portal to Xibalba. In this position, the platform marks a transition between the ceremonial plaza of the living and the realm of the dead. Chalk mole statues appear not only within El Castillo and the platform of Venus, but also at the Temple of the Warriors. The figures are instantly recognizable: reclining bodies, bent knees, elbows supporting the torso, and a head turned sharply to the side. They're described simply as offering bearers, holding bowls meant to receive incense, food, or blood offerings, yet their posture and placement suggest a deeper symbolic role. The red jaguar throne inside El Castillo further emphasizes the theme of transformation. The life-size jaguar sculpture, carved in limestone, is painted vivid red with jade inlays forming its spots. Its eyes are jade spheres and its fangs are marine shells. It also has its head turned 90 degrees. When the jaguar is unadorned by stars, it represents the night sun, the active traveler through the underworld, carrying awareness across the dark. When covered in stars, it embodies the starry night itself and the underworld. A ruler seated upon the red jaguar throne symbolically occupies the axis between worlds, linking heaven, earth, and the underworld, granting full navigational authority of awareness across these realms. Nearby, the Temple of the Jaguars, overlooking the Great Ball Court, functioned as a public stage for royal authority. During coronation ceremonies, a ruler would walk beneath the jaguar imagery and serpent columns, symbolically mastering darkness while embodying the power of both sky and earth. Taken together, the monuments of Chichen Itza form a coherent symbolic landscape. El Castillo represents heaven descending to earth. The sacred cenote functions as a gateway to the underworld. The platform of Venus marks emergence from darkness. The chalk mole statues stand at critical crossings. The red jaguar throne represents the axis of transformation. Each structure dramatizes the movement between states of existence. The deeper mythological framework appears in carvings at Xochicalco. On the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, reliefs depict a sanctuary engulfed in flames while waves rise around it, a vision of a world collapsing. A figure seated away from the destruction, unharmed, represents Quetzalcoatl surviving the catastrophe and founding Mesoamerican civilization. In this myth, the feathered serpent stands at the boundary between endings and beginnings, destruction and renewal. As a creature that combines bird and serpent, sky and earth, it embodies the bridge between realms. Seen in this broader context, the equinox serpent at El Castillo continues the same threshold symbolism. The descending shadow marks the crossing between realms, heaven to earth in the spring, earth toward the underworld in the autumn. The serpent becomes a cyclical bridge connecting heaven, earth, and the underworld. Serpent heads appear both at the base and upper levels of structures throughout Chichen Itza, including the platform of Venus, the Temple of the Jaguars, El Caracol Observatory, and the ossuary. Transformation occurred through ritual. An initiate, often a ruler, entered the inner chamber and walked past the altar. The moment itself marked a turning point as consciousness began to shift. As incense burned upon the altar, sacred fumes filled the chamber. The initiate inhaled the vapors in darkness and gradually sank into temporary unconsciousness. When awareness returned, if the initiate survived fully intact, the experience signified a profound transformation. The initiate then seated himself upon the red jaguar throne, the very symbol of navigating the underworld. The jaguar represented the night sun, the starry heavens, and the hidden realms through which consciousness travels. Emerging from this ordeal, the individual was no longer merely a participant in the ritual, but a sovereign observer, capable of moving across waking and dreaming states, and even overlapping them without fixation. This was true coronation, mastery of consciousness itself, Chakmol and metastate awareness. The Chakmol's body faces forward while its head turns sharply to the side, creating a posture that resembles a hinge, symbolizing a sudden change in both direction and perception. Symbolically, it represents the moment awareness shifts into a higher state. Its placement throughout Chichen Itza reinforces this meaning. Inside El Castillo, a Chakmol appears beside the red jaguar throne within the inner chamber. It appears on the platform of Venus alongside a skull standing between the sacred cenote and the ceremonial plaza. And again, it shows up at the Temple of the Warriors, marking the threshold between the outer plaza and the inner sanctuary. In each case, the statue appears precisely where a crossing occurs: public outer and private inner, earth and underworld, human and divine, waking consciousness and dreaming the subconscious. The repeated placement of Chakmol statues reveals a symbolic grammar embedded in the city's layout. These figures consistently mark the points where transitions take place. The initiate who crossed these thresholds and survived the ordeal emerged transformed, a conscious witness capable of maintaining awareness across multiple states of existence. This was the deeper meaning of sovereignty. The king was crowned not only with political authority, but the mastery of awareness itself. Seen in this way, Chakmol is not merely an offering bearer or a ritual sculpture of uncertain meaning. Its posture and spatial placement across the site suggests a consistent symbolic role. The Chakmol represents the hierarchical shift of awareness that makes meta-awareness possible. It's when awareness ceases to be identified with the body or the mind and becomes the crowned observer capable of navigating between them. It can also be called Christ consciousness, lucid kingship, or metastate mastery. If you want to know more about ancient secrets, be sure to check out my new book, Beyond the Veil, one of 3 new books that I just wrote.